Right, so next job was brake pipes. I've just made all the brake pipes rather than bore you all with it, and then I'm just going to get it all fitted. The ERA is different to a normal Mini. There's a dual brake circuit on the front, but I'm not fitting the original ERA brakes calipers, which each caliper has got. It's got two brake pipe outlets on it, so the brakes I am fitting are the cab brakes or calipers, and they've only got one brake pipe to them. So I'm going to install the system as it should be, just in case, you know, if I ever sell it or whatever, someone doesn't like the cab brakes, they can always put these back on. So I'm going to fit it as it should be, and then I'm just going to, I've put some blanking caps on the two parts or pipes that I don't need. Yeah, so just part of the originality. So yeah, and it'll make it easier if they want to change it over at a later date. So yeah, I'll show you quickly what I've got to do. So I've obviously got all the brake pipes to go in this area. Luckily I took photos. So I've got this arrangement here. It's quite complex. And then that is the inner wing. So yeah, I've got everything prepared. I pre-installed that, so I'm just going to get everything in there now. All right. They do look a bit messy, but they will look better once they're installed. So. Right, so that one, I'll just get that one out of the way.
Hey Mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back, and this is part 28 of the Project ERA build. Mark is leaving the brake setup, the brake pipes and everything as standard, so it can be converted back if it needs to be at any time. But in all honesty, the brakes on the ERA are pretty good anyway. So they're 8.4 inch ventilated front discs originally with AP 4-pot brake calipers. So they had quite a lot of stopping power, and the rear brakes are pretty standard, apart from they fitted slightly larger bore size diameter wheel cylinders. On sports cars, the braking ratio is about 80% front, 20% rear. You don't want the rear brakes locking under heavy braking. So the pressure reducing valve is that silver cylinder at the bottom, and that goes to the rear brakes. But as you can see, it's quite a complicated setup on an ERA. But it works, the brakes are quite effective. I think it's called a dual line system, so the front brakes have lots of brake pipes going to each caliper, but Mark's going to have to convert them because that's not how the CAD brake calipers are, only single line, or they're made for single line. So it looks like Mark's just finishing off plumbing in the fuel system there, fuel pipes, which again can get quite complicated on an ERA. And the difficult thing about an ERA, and Mark's done the right thing, you can see all the photos there on the floor. He took loads of photos of everything because, you know, an MPI or an SPI Mini, they're complicated cars, or complicated for Minis anyway. And if you want to find out something, you can generally just go on Google, do a bit of a search, and you can find a picture to reference against. But obviously on an ERA, that's a little bit harder to do. There's not as many out there, there's not as many photos on Google. So yeah, Mark done the right thing, taking lots of photos. Now notice here, and we'll see later on, not in this video, it'll be in the next video, where Mark fits the engine. But I notice he's fitting up the brake servo now, which I think he's probably going to end up taking off again, almost certainly actually, because it needs to be out of the way to get the engine in. So I'm not sure whether he just trial fitted it or not. Trying to think. I mean, I've seen some of the footage already, so I've not seen him take it off again. I'm assuming he is going to, but we'll see. Unless he manages to get the engine in there with that in place, but I doubt it. It's difficult. So not sure what Lucy was helping with here, but she's lending quite a bit of a hand today, and makes a return in a moment to help fit the brake master cylinder and clutch master cylinder clevis split pins up behind the back of the dash. Now Mark's fitting the switch panel here, which again on an ERA, it's not different, but an ERA has a separate switch panel below the main switch panel as well, with extra switches for the front fog lights and for the rear wash wipe. So the ERA has a rear wiper motor, wiper arm and a rear washer on it. To be honest, it's not really needed on a Mini because of the rake of the rear screen. Water doesn't really collect on the rear screen anyway, but it was more just I guess just an added accessory, just to add a bit of luxury, I guess. And I've obviously watched quite a bit of this video in slow motion, and Mark was really struggling with these cables and getting this switch panel in place. And I know, having done Sprout quite recently, it's not that easy, especially the heater cable. And yeah, Mark just struggled a little bit with this. It's one of those jobs, once you've done it a few times, it's all right, but first time you do one, they can be a bit of a pain. It's not quite as bad with the dashboard out, but it's still a bit of a fiddly job anyway. Now I'm going to try a new format with the video. I've worked out how to do layering, so hopefully I'll appear somewhere at the bottom of the screen. Not quite sure yet. We'll see how it goes. It might just be voice, but let me know what you think of the format anyway. Just thought maybe it improves engagement with seeing me chatting as well as just a voice in the background on the narration.
Well, 1 hour later, Jesus Christ, that is the worst thing ever to get in a Mini. It's even worse on an ERA, Jesus Christ. But it's there. Yay. Right, so that was that. Next job, let's get all the ductlings in. I have replaced these bits. I can't get that new, so I've put a new ring, stainless steel ring in there. It's got a sealer on there. There's a rubber seal a foam seal that comes for there, but it doesn't actually do a lot. So that one goes in there. Again, another new piece. This side is the air filter. It's got a Cone filter in there, which I've replaced. I've cleaned that up the best I can. Obviously I've re-drilled that into the wing. That isn't a new bit of pipe, but it's a better pipe. I had a bit of it at the lock-up, so there's no holes in that one. It's clean, and I've got a new reconditioned one of them. And then I've got a new bit of pipe that goes from the fresh air down to the scoop on the body kit. So I'm going to get these on now.
I thought I was going to have to get the beeper out there for swearing, but I think we can get away with Jesus Christ. I'm not sure. Sorry if offends anyone. So yeah, obviously Mark describing the fresh air system there and the air intake, which again is different on an ERA. It's quite well thought out and it's functional. So the body kit at the front has air ducts, air rams at the bottom, and those are functional, so they're there for the fresh air intake. So the fresh air vents in an ERA generally work pretty well, work better than a standard Mini, because they're getting that air ducted through the front of the body kit. And you'd have seen the air filter there, so there's not enough room for an air filter underneath the bonnet. There's just not room anywhere. So ERA custom made an air box which fits under the near side front wing. The box is like vacuum formed plastic. It's an ERA part. They didn't get it from anywhere else, so they vacuum formed a plastic box. The air filter that's used inside it, the actual correct air filter, and correct me if I'm wrong, stick it in the comments if you know, but I think it's a Volvo 240. It's like a V6 Volvo or something like that, a fuel injected Volvo. But yeah, so it's a panel filter that goes in there, but it's pretty much identical to the size of a Ford Escort XR3i air filter, which are far more common and easy to get hold of. So Mark's obviously fitted a new XR3i air filter in there. It's a K&N air filter, so it should flow a bit better air. And yeah, as I say, fits up inside that inner wing. You see Lucy's just joined now, doing all the nice jobs, the split pins on the brake and clutch master cylinders. It's a pain job to do, you need little hands, and so Mark sort of gets Lucy to give a hand. She's quite generous of her.
Right, I'm going to get the rear lights in, hopefully the petrol tank, then I've got the indicators to go in on the front. Yeah, I think that's it for this car anyway. So, the last time I put the tank in, I forgot to put the lights in, so I take the tank back out of the kit.
So I had the same problem actually when I was doing Sprout. I wanted to put the tank back in Sprout just for moving it around, because it was obviously all running and driving, but it hadn't gone down for paint yet, so I had to just strap the tank in with just some bungee straps rather than bolting it in. Although to be fair, I could have bolted in and taken it back out again, but you do need to be able to get to the back of those lights to be able to tighten up the nuts. So I've watched quite a lot of this footage at slower pace obviously, and these little jobs here Mark was getting quite frustrated with. They are just difficult fiddly bits sometimes. They can seem really easy to do but just take 2 or 3 times longer than you expect them to take. Things don't quite fit properly, or you can't find the bolt or screw for something. So Mark was struggling with the rear light gaskets here, the rubber gaskets which go between the light body and the bodywork, and they never seem to want to fit properly. If you can reuse the originals, which are the correct shape, then all the better. If you're reusing or using a new one, they can be a bit of a pain.
So dodgy that is.
I think Mark's referring to using the screwdriver in close proximity to the paintwork, but he carried on anyway. He hasn't scratched it, so well done, Mark. If you've got this far in the video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. We really do appreciate it. Please leave comments. We read all the comments, and on the ERA videos Mark reads all the comments and replies where they need a reply as well. So yeah, we really do appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber, do consider subscribing. Regular uploads. As a subscriber, you get notifications of when the next video is coming out, so there is a bit of benefit to it. And the next video will be a Sprout video, I think. But yeah, we do appreciate the views, the comments, the likes, and obviously share the videos as well if you can, so we can sort of grow the numbers and grow the community. Mark's just fitting up the rear wiper motor and washer here, which goes below the rear windscreen. It's a tight fit, not actually sure what wiper motor they used, but it's obviously not a Mini part. They obviously took it out of the Rover parts bin off something else, but kind of, it has to be quite compact because it fits up underneath that parcel shelf and is bolted on. So if anyone knows what it is, let us know. The ERA is starting to look quite complete now with the lights in, the indicators going in now. The next video, the engine will be painted, repainted, and then the engine goes in. And yeah, it's looking very complete. I'm not sure how many episodes we've got to run. I think I've got about 5 or 6 SD cards to go through, so each episode is roughly one SD card, so it's 128 gigabytes of footage. Is it 128? I can't remember. I'm sure it is 128 gigabytes of footage, which is about 5-6 hours compressed down into sort of 20 minutes. Some take a little bit longer, depends how much talking Mark does and how much detail there is. So thanks for watching this week, guys, and catch you again very soon.